بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. گلستان سعدی، باب اول، در سیرت پادشاهان. حکایت هفتم. پادشاهی با غلامی عجمی در کشتی نشست و غلام دیگر دریا را ندیده بود و محنت کشتی نیازموده. گریه و زاری در نهاد و لرزه بر اندامش افتاد. چندان که ملاطفت کردند آرام نمی گرفت و عیش ملک از او منغص بود. چاره ندانستند. حکیمی در آن کشتی بود. ملک را گفت اگر فرمان دهی من او را به طریقی خاموش گردانم. گفت غایت لطف و کرم باشد. بفرمود تا غلام به دریا انداخت. باری چند غوطه خورد، مویش گرفتند و پیش کشتی آوردند. به دو دست در سکان کشتی آویخت. چون برآمد به گوشه‌ای بنشست و قرار یافت. ملک را عجب آمد. پرسید در این چه حکمت بود؟ گفت از اول محنت غرقه شدن نچشیده بود و قدر سلامت کشتی نمی‌دانست. همچنین قدر عافیت کسی داند که به مصیبتی گرفتار آید. ای سیر، تو را نان جوین خوش ننماید. معشوق من است آن که به نزدیک تو زشت است. حوران بهشتی را دوزخ بود اعراف. از دوزخیان پرس که اعراف بهشت است. فرق است میان آن که یارش در بر تا آن که دو چشم انتظارش بر در.
This is a 13th century Persian manuscript. Within these pages of traditional calligraphy and red seals is an observation that goes deeper than a simple moral. It tracks the specific way the human mind breaks down under pressure. The setting is a grand royal ship, a vessel built for security, sailing through calm waters under a clear sky. For the Persian king on board, this ship is a mobile palace, a total sanctuary from the world. But the peace is shattered by a foreign slave who has never seen the ocean. To him, the water is a terrifying void. He is gripped by such a paralyzing fear of the sea that he falls into a complete physical collapse. It serves as a reminder. The objective safety of the ship means nothing if your mind is already drowning in the thought of what might happen. The king's attendants try to intervene with kindness. They offer the man soft blankets and explain the physics of the ship's hull, trying to use comfort and logic to settle his nerves. This illustrates a closed panic loop. When an internal emotional response becomes this intense, it creates a barrier that simply deflects any incoming rational input. The more they tell him he is safe, the more he retreats into his terror. His relentless crying and trembling eventually begin to infect the rest of the crew. The king's voyage is no longer a luxury. It has become a hostage to one man's escalating panic. The problem is clear. Reason is a useless tool when someone is reacting to a threat they haven't used reason to identify. As the king grows more frustrated, a weathered scholar steps forward. He doesn't offer more blankets or more kind words. Instead, he makes a jarring suggestion. If the slave is terrified of the water while standing on the ship, the only way to cure him is to put him in the water. This is based on the idea of contrast relativity. The scholar believes that a person cannot truly understand the value of their current state until they are forced to experience its absolute opposite. The king is skeptical, but he's out of options. He gives a silent nod, authorizing the scholar to begin this drastic experiment. The goal is to break the illusion of danger by replacing it with a dose of actual physical reality. The sailors act instantly. They seize the terrified man and heave him over the side. The slave's world suddenly flips as he plunges beneath the surface of the dark, cold water. The sounds of the deck are replaced by a heavy, muffled roar. The imagined fears are gone, replaced by the immediate, crushing weight of the ocean. Biological survival takes over. In this state, the brain stops ruminating on what might happen and focuses every ounce of energy on the singular, desperate need for air. He thrashes, struggling against the tide until his strength is nearly gone. Just as he begins to sink, the sailors reach down and haul him back up by his hair. The threshold has been crossed. The man's theoretical anxiety has been overwritten by a direct encounter with his own mortality. The sailors drag him back onto the boards. He sits there, soaking wet and gasping for breath, but the screaming has stopped. He wraps his arms around a wooden beam as if it's the only sanctuary. The irony is immediate. A few minutes ago, this ship felt like a prison. Now he is clinging to it with everything he has. The ship falls silent. The king looks at the quiet, shivering man and asks the scholar to explain how such a violent act produced such a peaceful result. The physical ship didn't change at all. What changed was the context. The man no longer sees the deck as a floor. He sees it as the thin line between life and death. The scholar's thesis is simple. Until the man felt the cold reality of drowning, he was incapable of appreciating the safety the ship provided. This story comes from Saadi Shirazi, a 13th century philosopher whose tomb in Shiraz still stands as a monument to his insights into human behavior. His story illustrates what we can call the boundary of value. This diagram shows how the perceived worth of our safety scales upward the closer we get to losing it. But look at the 0 point on the left. When we have no reference for hardship, we have no baseline for gratitude. Without the threat of water, the ship is just a background detail we take for granted. We rarely notice the solid ground beneath our feet. It is only when the struggle for survival strips away our assumptions that we can finally recognize the value of the quiet safety we already possess.